Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Acting Deputy President. Trust has been lost. Anthony Albanese and his Labor government have lost the people's trust, lost the people's confidence, lost the people's support. Labor supports the CFMEU because the CFMEU gives us massive donations, millions and millions of cash for election campaigns. Labor is wedded to the CFMEU. Labor is dependent on the CFMEU. Labor is hiding the biggest wage theft in Australia's history. 5 years I've spent exposing the scam. We've got an excellent report, an independent report, coal miners' wage theft, done in February this year. It vindicates what I've been pushing for 5 years. Some miners in Central Queensland and the Hunter Valley are owed $41,000 per annum in wage theft. The Independent Workers Union, a new fair dinkum union operating in Central Queensland and the Hunter Valley, has lodged complaints for many miners because the CFMEU, the Mining and Energy Union, has not bothered to do so. They won't go after the back pay, the wage theft. I'm aware now of a recent complaint lodged just recently in the last couple of days to the Fair Work Commission, Fair Work Ombudsman, by the Independent Workers Union, seeking for one person alone $211,000 in back pay, $211,000 in wage theft, that this Labor government condones and hides. The CFMEU drove the theft of wages from Central Queensland and Hunter miners. The workers' former protectors in the CFMEU are now their exploiters. They're hurting workers. I wonder, will Labor's administrator allocate the CFMEU funds to make good the miners' wages? One person, $211,000, over 5,000 miners losing up to around $41,000 per year of service. And Labor MPs are complicit because it's been a protection racket for their mates in the CFMEU. Labor MPs in the Hunter denied and then ignored my claims put to them in writing. I hand-delivered to Dan Rapicoli's office in Parliament here my letter to him explaining this. Not a peep. Instead, we got lies from Mr Rapicoli in the Hunter. Similar to Joel Fitzgibbon. Minister Watt in the Senate has denigrated, ridiculed and dismissed more than 5,000 miners' legal and proven entitlements, and I have been proven correct. Let's return to Monday. Minister Gallagher's word, urgent. This is urgent, she says, Administrator for the CFMEU. I add two words, cover up. Cover up. Minister Gallagher says Labor's administrator is, quote, urgent. Yet Minister Watt dropped this bill on us late Monday night. What gives? Do you expect us to believe it was drafted on Sunday? They did an all-nighter on Sunday, lots of coffee in the department. Why did Labor drop it on us without giving it to us earlier? Is it to avoid scrutiny? Yes, I can see some senators agreeing. When did the Greens and the Teal Senator Pocock get copies? Because we've had instances in the past where they have got copies of new bills 2 weeks before we have, and it's dropped on us at the last minute. And then Senator Gallagher sought exemption from the normal bills process. And speaking for exemption, Senator Gallagher said, quote, Albanese government says it's a clear path, yet the bill is littered with the word may. It's a very unclear bill. It needs the word will. Secondly, she said, people of Australia are expecting a clear response. With an unclear bill, I echo Senator Sullivan's call for a hearing. And then Senator Gallagher said, we will give you a firm view at the end of the week. Only will you get a firm view with a hearing. We need a firm view and scrutiny of this legislation. We need may to be replaced by will quite often. We need an opportunity for bipartisan input. I'm a former member of 3 unions. I know genuine unions are necessary. Genuine union movement has a long and proud history, going back to Wales and the lodge system in the Miners' Federation, which I was a proud member and participant of. Yet today, so many union bosses have forgotten workers and members. Why? Well, today workers' protections are enshrined in law, as they should be: safety, wages, conditions, security, retirement, health, and many other provisions. So now the union bosses erode and steal these for personal gain, as the CFMEU and the Mining and Energy Union has done in Central Queensland and the Hunter. Personal gain and power, that's what it's about now, not looking after members. Why? Because they're an untouchable monopoly. Workers need choice. Workers don't have choice. They must join the union in their industry. That's it. No choice. Well, the Red Union in Queensland and around Australia and in New Zealand is giving workers choice. Thirdly, the Fair Work Commission and the Fair Work Ombudsman have failed to protect miners and failed to protect workers. The Fair Work Commission has overseen and approved the theft of wages from casual coal miners in the Hunter Valley. As a boy, I lived in Central Queensland and the Hunter coalfields. My dad was in coal mining. I graduated with a mining engineer's degree, an honours degree. Then I decided I better go and learn something, so I worked at the coalface. I came across Bill Chapman, the legendary president of the Northern District of the Miners' Federation, a wonderful man. I actually sided with him in an open-air meeting at West Walls End No. 2 mine when I worked on night shift there. My dad was complimented highly by Bill Chapman at my father's retirement, because my dad and Bill used to argue a lot, but they respected each other, because Bill was genuinely concerned about workers. And I knew Matty best before he died. I worked with him. I played football with him. He was my football coach in Central Queensland when I played rugby league. He was a genuine union delegate who had respect from workers and managements and fellow union bosses. He called out safety issues when they were abused. I'm proud to support real unions that work in workers' interests. I worked as a mine manager with the CFMEU union bosses. We developed a landmark award that I instigated, and I instigated many previously undreamt of provisions because they were for the benefit of the workers and the benefit of productivity. I worked with the union. The CFMEU in Victoria, the rank and file during the COVID mismanagement, erupted in a mutiny against vaccine mandates and lockdowns. The members realised their union bosses did not care, and they revolted. Labor then abolished the Australian Building and Construction Commission. Now, Senator Watt said Australians expected Parliament to deal with criminal allegations inside the recalcitrant union promptly. How? Looking at this vague bill. Where's the trust? It's been smashed. Labor supports, as I said, the CFMEU because of donations, wedded to CFMEU donations, dependent. And then yesterday we heard Senator Pocock, a Teal senator, said we need to be cleaning up the union. Has he forgotten that he supported the abolition of the ABCC? The CFMEU has assisted in theft from miners, as I've explained. They're now exploiting miners. And the Labor Party has been complicit. Both Joel Fitzgibbon and Dan Repicoli reportedly get campaign donations from the CFMEU. Then we get Labor's fabrication.
Minister.
Thanks, Acting Deputy President. I just wondered if Senator Roberts could be asked to refer to people by their proper titles.
Thank you, Senator.
Labor fabricated an imaginary loophole, which the miners in Central Queensland and the Hunter Valley told me was a fabrication, and I worked out it is. Then they pretended to close the loophole with its Closing the Loophole Bill. All it needed was an enforcement of the Fair Work Act and the Black Coal Mining Industry Award. Minister Watts, Minister Burke, his predecessor, Mr Fitzgibbon, Mr Repicoli are complicit in this wage theft, the largest in Australia. Labor enabled casuals...
Senator, please resume your seat. Minister.
Senator Roberts is reflecting very directly on a range of people, including ministers who represent the government in this chamber, and he should withdraw it.
It would assist the chamber that you were certainly straying into impugning members of the parliament.
To assist the chamber, and for that reason I will withdraw. But a Labor enabled casuals in coal mining. The Black Coal Mining Industry Award prohibited casuals on production. It still does. Labor changed the coal long service leave provisions legislation to include casuals. under Prime Minister Gillard, Labor Prime Minister. I'm told that Anthony Albanese read the bill into Parliament early in 2011. That's what enabled this wage theft. Sorry, Mr Albanese, the Prime Minister.
This is happening reasonably regularly throughout your contribution. If you could please make sure that you do refer to everyone to whom you are referring using their correct title.
Certainly. Labor has forgotten workers. It's actually helping union bosses to exploit workers, union bosses from the CFMEU. Minister Watt knows of the wage theft because he advised us of the Mining and Energy Union's application for a new enterprise agreement. We advised him the application confirms our work, and yet there has been no Mining and Energy Union application for back pay. Why? Because when it was part of the CFMEU, they deliberately conjured up illegal enterprise agreements. And we've had no word from Minister Watt regarding the investigation of the wage theft that the Senate required, thanks to my amendment to a bill earlier this year. We do not believe that Minister Watt is fit to oversee the CFMEU administrator. It's a furphy. Look at the other unions, health and safety unions, stealing from the lowest paid workers in Australia. SDA union bosses corrupt. The Fair Work Act covers union bosses' greed, theft and abuse. Look at Craig Thompson. We're tired of the cover-ups. Now here, let's get on to the root cause. It's publicly revealed in the Australian Financial Review, 12th of April this year. David Marin Guzman, their journalist, wrote an article headlined, CFMEU push to take control of the Labor Party. Quote, John Setka is planning to use the militant construction union's hundreds of delegates and members to boost the CFMEU's influence on internal Labor politics in the Victorian and federal parliaments. Another quote, such a large membership drive could give the CFMEU significant control over Labor pre-selections and party conferences, which elect the party executive and vote on policy, even the party premier in Victoria. That's what's going on here. It's a power play. And then we see Labor Premier Stephen Miles in Queensland he's being accused of silencing the Crime and Corruption Commission. Mark LeGrand, who spent 10 years as Chief Investigator at the then Criminal Justice Commission in the wake of the 1989 Fitzgerald inquiry, told The Australian there was no point having a Royal Commission if it could not report on its investigations. Labor wants to shut down the reporting. I could go on with more quotes. Then we have Robert Gottliebsen telling us of the dire predicament of Australia's productivity decline. Falling productivity. Yeah, that's the key to wage rises. And the CFMEU is guilty of destroying productivity. When productivity falls, it kills industry, kills the future, kills jobs. You add that to the energy prices, the industrial relations policies, the inflation, the productivity decline. It's killing the economy, killing national security and standard of living. This is more than just about the CFMEU administrator. This is about trust. We see in Queensland, the Labor Party and the union movement are not two separate entities. They are one entity. Minister Grace, when she lost her seat when Campbell Newman took over last decade, she went straight into a job at $180,000 a year at the Queensland Teachers Union. And then we see when she got back into power, when Labor got back into power, she slid straight back into working directly with the Labor Party. The whole time she worked with the Labor Party. We see the Labor government in Queensland outlawing the Red Union because it's competition for the Queensland Teachers Union and the Queensland Nurses Union. A monopoly in the industrial relations, no accountability. And then we have provisions such as I draw people's attention to 323B in the new Act, Clause 1, Clause 2, which I haven't got time to go into at the moment, but these are things that we're focusing on. Section 323C, Clause 2, Section 323D, Clause 1. So loose, so vague, so open. We need accountability. We need competition amongst unions for better service to members. We need higher sustained wages now and in the future because an industry that is healthy will pay higher wages. That's a proven fact. Protecting union monopolies will continue union demise and lead to lower wages. Choice is essential. Look at the players in this. Chandler Macleod Group, part of Recruit Holdings, the world's largest labour hire company, working with the CFMEU and the Mining and Energy Union in the Hunter and Central Queensland. Federal government itself uses billions of dollars worth of labour hire. The Fair Work Commission has approved these awards. And BHP, who forced people to change from BHP people in permanent employment to Tesla labour hire with a big pay cut, thanks to the union, and then forced to go to Chandler Macleod with another big pay cut. We need open scrutiny. We need a hearing, not the window dressing. We need to be sent to committee or at least get a hearing on Friday. We're thinking of an amendment requesting the administrator to investigate coal mining wage theft as per one union report and organise for the CFMEU finances to cover that. But it's not part of the bill, so we won't be doing that. But we want to amend the bill to allow disallowance of the minister's regulations. We want to see criminal charges, and we want to see the watchback brought back and comprehensive reform to industrial relations.